أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبله وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نأته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيب إله رب العالمين المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين سيما بقية الله الأعظم بقية الله خير لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Just a reminder for the march which was just announced. We live in the world of global influence. We influence each other. Whether we like to influence each other or not, we are influenced, consciously or unconsciously. This thing which we call influence is nothing but that very philosophical principle which we call it cause and effect. There is cause and effect. Sometimes we are cause, sometimes we are the effect. So this principle of cause and effect is like a stream that runs through everything except God. So that means that even the earth that we are, the part of the world that we are living in, this has an effect on the people who are on it, which we are talking about influencing. Sometimes this influence, like we said, is conscious or it's like unconsciously affects us. I had mentioned this in the march which we had yesterday, and this is related to the march that we will be having inshallah on December 7th. That's the reason I'm mentioning this. So this earth, and if we look at the history of this earth which belongs to the natives, they have a great deal of effort, and they had their faith, the practice was based upon value for life. In their religion, in their deen, in their maktab, one of the things that was of great ahmiyat and importance was life. That's why nature was their deen. That's why they were nomads. They used to go to place. They worshipped the nature. And any sort of discretion of nature, disrespect to the nature was attacking their deen. So it's like, for example, how Muslims get furious something happened to the Quran. The natives, they become furious if there is like a skyscraper or they are digging up and things like that. That's why you see them living in sort of areas that are dedicated to them. So for them, why was that? Is because they value life so much, natural. So that is why, is because of the effect of the land. So that is why we tend to see the Americans, they have a great value for life. The amount of health care, the amount of importance is given to life, we don't really see that much in other parts of the world, the way we do it here. The first thing when it comes to life, the first important thing in life is nothing but the reality of freedom, the phenomena of freedom. If there is life, and the life have to be free. That's why the natives let the land free, without usurping it, without disturbing it. So the slogan of the Americans, life and freedom, it beautifully synchronizes with with the nature of Americans, with the psyche of Americans. We are not looking at whether this is just a slogan, it has a purpose or not. No, we are just looking at things on a principle basis. So, the march which we had, or this march here, it's based on that. So when anyone participates in that, it's fulfilling to that divine nature of respect to life and freedom as well. And it has nothing to do with, in regards to, oh, this is political, oh, this is, it depends on how you are addressing the issue. You have to address the issue on the basis of life, on the basis of freedom. Rather, you address the issue as, enemy is A, and friend is B and C and things like that. So even this march that we have, it is to respect life. And when that is easily tablighed or propagated to our fellow Americans, then they are next to us. Because each and every person, as it is the effect of the land on their psyche, will respect life and freedom. And they will be with us. So, whenever there is a demonstration or a march which is to uphold life, respect of life, like for example how we see how Israelis are bombarding and killing the Palestinians, and deterring the freedom of the Gazans, because Hamas is democratically elected. That's their choice. The people of Gaza elected Hamas. They are not the. So it's really value for freedom. If you look at it from that point of view, it's those people, they are free to choose who they want to choose. We don't really want to get into the politics of it. We are looking at from a principle point of view. So now it's a clash it's not a clash of principles, but it's the clash of the style, or the how do you call it, the saliqe, the way, the method, how I will use this freedom. So that's something that we really need to sit and discuss and come to a resolve what that is. So Muhammad wa Muhammad. As we talked about land, and as a matter of fact, both of the salam of Payam Azmi Sahib, may Allah protect him and give him more tawfiq and long life and honor to serve the people. We have a hadith on Karbala, on the land, as we're talking about Karbala and the land of the effect. It's really amazing. It just occurred to me that I should mention this hadith, and especially to our youngsters to really pay attention to why, the purpose and the reason we pay so much importance to Karbala. The hadith says, Inna ardal Kaaba qalat man mithli. Kaaba, ardal Karbala, qalat, it says, on the day of judgment. Because everything speaks on the day of judgment. The earth, the place that we are sitting, it bears witness that this moment sat on this piece of spot to listen to the majlis of Imam Hussain. He prayed as he was going, and he was there was Maghrib coming up, he stopped in a rest area and he prayed. That earth will speak, everything will speak. So, Innal ardal Kaaba qalat man mithli, who is like me, mithli. Is there any earth like Kaaba? It will speak out. وَقَدْ بَنَى اللَّهُ بَيْتَهُ, and Allah have done the bunyan, have made bayt of his house. عَلَى ظَهْرِ وَيَعْتِينِ comes النَّاسِ, people, مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ وَأَمِيقٍ, from the depth of the places, from different places, they come in ranks to visit Kaaba, to my place. This is Kaaba speaking on the day of judgment. Allah have made the house. People come from all over the world to visit me. فَأَوْحَى اللَّهُ إِلَيْهَا, and the wahi of Allah came. أَنْ kaffa wa qar'a fa wa izzati wa jalali. Qarra means hold on, hold yourself, control yourself. This is the wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By my izzah and by my jalal, Allah says. Ma means no. Ma fadlahu, ma faddalta bihi fima ataytu bihi arda Karbala. Allah haven't given the fazilat that it has given to the land of Karbala. O land of Kaaba, hold on to yourself. Control yourself. The fazilat that Allah has given to Karbala, it hasn't given to anyone. And the hadith continues to describe, to depict what type of fazilat the land of Kaaba have to Karbala. It says, بِمَنْزِلَتِهِ, the manzilat of the land and the value that Kaaba have compared to Karbala is like when you dip a needle into the ocean and you pick that needle out, how much of the water does that needle gathers? That much amount of fazilat the land of Kaaba have to Karbala. Then the hadith continues. It says that if it wasn't for Karbala, as the Shaykh just said, then there will be no Kaaba. The value of Kaaba is because the value of the land of Kaaba is because of Karbala. So that much value. And I mean, there's a quite bit, it's a very lengthy hadith which comes from Kamilul Ziyarat from our 6th Imam. And there's a, very controversial it could become if I read the whole hadith, which I don't want to read. Perhaps maybe we can discuss it later on, on one-on-one. So it's trying to point out to the fazilat and the ahmiyat of Karbala. Amma ta'alam anna Allah ittakhadha Karbala haraman amanan mubarakan qabla an yattakhadha Makkah al-harama. Even before Makkah had become the haram, Allah have regarded Kaaba as a place of safe haven, as a place of haram, even before. And in some tradition it says that it is even before 25,000 years that Karbala was regarded as a place of safe haven. Then Kaaba. So that is the ahmiyat of Baba Abdullah Hussain. That is the importance of Karbala.
Subhanallah, subhanallah.
Now, going back to the discussion that we've been having in regards to Ya ayyuhal insan innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqi. Very briefly, a mulaqat have to take place. Regardless we accept or we don't accept, we will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we said the purpose of this meeting to take place is sharing of this beauty of Allah that He has, sharing of the kindness, sharing of the power. Allah wants to share with us. He wants to give us. That is the purpose of it. The first step towards this meeting to take place, we said, is death. And we pointed out to what really happens at the time of death and how a person could easily enter the realm, which is the second level, if you want to call, or the next level of meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is barzakh. While discussing that, we pointed out to that who are really in charge of taking the spirit of human being. Then we pointed out to this purgatory period, this barzakh, what is it really? We mentioned last night few things that will have an adverse effect, that will be very painful for those people who are in barzakh, that they will suffer. We gave a list of it. And no matter how close or that person be to the Prophet and Ahl Bayt alayhim salam in terms of physicality or in terms of emotionality as well, but certain acts, if he carries those acts out, still he will suffer. Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, you have heard this just for our youngsters. I'm mentioning this hadith, very close companion to the Prophet. When the report of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh came to the Prophet that he died, Prophet left his chamber without the abba and without wearing the shoes. in respect and in order to carry out the funeral. He prepared the ghusl, the shrouding and digging of the grave, prayed, namaz-e-mayyat, the prayer did the funeral prayers, buried, put him in the qabr, made the qabr strong and tight, complete. And also there is one hadith that is used here in the margin. I'll mention that everything that you do, you have to make it perfect. Not that just, it's a grave, you just make it loose and, he's died anyways. No, Prophet said, no, you got to make it nice and strong, make it perfect. That, and then after that, the mother of Sa'd says that, mashallah, he must be in Jannah and having, in Barzakh he will be enjoying and having pleasure. The Prophet of Islam have done all of these things for him. Prophet said, wait, right at this minute he's going through fishar-e-qabr. For the mistreatment of his zawja, of his wife that he used to do. Regardless of a person be a companion of the Prophet, regardless of that prayer be performed by the Prophet, that grave digged by the Prophet and prepared by the Prophet, still because of the action, because it's that mulaqat, that quality that I have to develop in me to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if I have that quality in me that isn't developed, which is respect, which is caring, which is taking care, fulfilling of its responsibility, regardless of how much an exterior force tells me, it's not going to happen. As they say that there are two Rasul. One is a Rasul that comes to you, Rasul al-Zahiri, the Quran. And there's a Rasul which is your inner conscious. It's your inner soul, it's your nafs. That's inside, there is a Rasul there. So no matter how much there be hidayat from the outer Rasul, if this inner Rasul doesn't accept and want to go there, then it will not happen. So therefore, one of the things that is pointing out to here is that even if a person, no matter how much he loves, have that emotional love and closeness to Ahl Bayt in Zamani and Makani, still he will suffer in Barzakh. So Barzakh is really that period of suffering and rejoicing at the same time. And we pointed out to these individuals, those people who are the mediocre ones, those who are in the intermediary, those who are like in the middle ones, that their life over there, because the decision of what is supposed to happen to them hasn't happened yet. And they will wait for the day of judgment. And on the day of judgment, things will be decided to them, that whether they will go in Jannah or whether they will go in hellfire. So they will be living, it's like living there but in a state of sleepwalking. It's undecided. In that state of limbo they will be. Still waiting for that day of judgment to take place. So you have those who are the sabiqun as-sabiqun, already ulaika al-muqarrabun, and those who are in the pits of fire of Barzakhi, in the hellfire of Barzakh. Such as Fir'aun and the Ali Fir'aun and Namrud and Haman and all these lot, and the present Fir'aun, Saddam and Gaddafi and these lot. So therefore, as we move on, the reality and the truth of Barzakh have been pointed out to by the Prophet, by the Masumeen. They say that, he is not of Shia who doesn't believe in three things. Our sixth Imam says he's not of Shia who doesn't believe in three things. One is the Miraj of Rasul, if he doesn't believe that the Prophet ascended to heaven. Number two is the fishar or the punishment that happens in Barzakh. And number three is our shafa'at. So if he doesn't, so it means that it's a great value. It's a great valuable reality that a Shia have to believe in regards to Barzakh. Prophet, after the battle and after the kuffar were killed and put into their graves, Prophet went there and spoke to them that how are you in hellfire at present, that who used to deny. And the ashab that who were around, they were asking, will they listen to you? Yes, they listen to us. And many examples that we all know, that Amirul Mu'mineen was passing by through the graveyard, or Hazrat Isa, Jesus Christ, speaking to those people who were dead. How is this communication taking place? That means that the world of Barzakh is here. It's not that something we go outside. The world of barzakh is right here. As soon as a person closes this eye, he enters into barzakh. He sees the reality. As we were talking about in our first session, we think that this eye is to see. It's not the case. But this eye is not, is there so that we don't see. I mean, if this eye starts seeing who are here in regards to barzakh, we will not be here. We will be running away. Obviously, when the majalis when the zikr of Ahl Bayt is going on, all the malaika are here. We do not have the capacity to see the malaika. We'll run away to see the wujud, to comprehend that. This is one of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are not seeing. So this eye is there so that we don't see. And another proof is that when this eye closes, then we start seeing. Then we see, yes, this is the reality. This is the haqiqat. What has been said in the Quran that, they are angels, they are malak, they are sawal o jawab, munkir o nakir, mubashir o bashir. All of these things are really true. And now I can see that. Why? Because this eye is closed. So therefore, the reality of barzakh is undeniable. And it is right here. And there is a connection with this world, with barzakh. One could, and there are many instances in the life of the Masumeen, which we pointed out to, the dream of Imam Hussein on the 27th night before Safar Imam Hussein, he saw the Prophet in the dream. The dream of, the children of Muslim ibn Aqil, the dream of Muslim, what is this? This is nothing but seeing and looking into barzakh. That's what it is, that we see our loved ones in barzakh. Not only that, to the extent that people come from barzakh to this world. And we have seen that as well. It is all, usually we tend to recite this in Masai, but this is a theological truth. This is a philosophical proof in itself. From barzakh they could come into this world. Not necessarily that each and every person sees. Wasn't that Amirul Mu'mineen who came in Sham-e-Ghariba and spoke and speak to Hazrat Zainab Salamullah? Wasn't that Fatima who came in the plain of Karbala at the time of the sacrifice? What is that? We tend to take these things as emotional, as fairy tales, but this is truth and reality. That people from barzakh, they do enter into this physical plane. So therefore, the barzakh is connected to this physical reality, to this physical plane. And the possibility of them coming here and we entering that exists. However, because the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so amazing, is so fascinating, that those souls who enters barzakh, they don't really care about what's going on there, because they are attracted towards that beauty. They don't really want to be associated as such, unless that soul has that sort of qudra and power that they could, even after they enter there, they remember their loved ones and provide sustenance and help and shafaat. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, what is all that? That is nothing but that connection of their souls to this material realm. And they come and they give shafaat to a blind person, to a person who is paralyzed, a person who have, diseases, so on and so forth. Because they are connected, still connected to this material realm. But they are in barzakh. And here I had mentioned this earlier, that Allama Tabatabai and his ustad, who was Qazi Tabatabai, there is a letter that he writes to Allama saying that even if I die, the ustad, Qazi, if I die, and O Allama Muhammad Hussain, if you have any trouble in terms of your understanding, you do certain amal, then I will come and teach you in this physical realm. So that means this barzakhi world is not somewhere else, but it's right here. And it just requires that entering into that realm. And there are examples in regards to the scholars, in regards to the Masumeen alayhi salam. It is undeniable. If one just think about these things, one will say, really, it makes sense. So therefore, the alam qabr or alam barzakh, if you want to call, and in regards to the things that will relieve the souls that are in barzakh, which we mentioned that, salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad is one of them. So therefore, if a person, we discussed earlier that these are the things that he will suffer in barzakh. For example, a person who doesn't pay attention to najasat, he doesn't care about, about taharat. That soul will suffer. Because that realm is a pure realm. It's a pakiza realm. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for some reason have said that please don't do this way. So that you don't suffer there. So when I am already taking care of myself here in regards to taharat and najasat, then I am already refined. Then I've done it. I've done my job. So that I don't suffer there. Now if I haven't done it because this refining have to take place voluntarily or involuntarily, I will be suffering there. So that I purify myself there, so that I go higher there. So this ahkam ilahi is for that purpose. That if I pay attention, that I am, paying attention to the najasat and taharat, the way I use the toilet, the way I have been prescribed how to do it, if I am doing that out, then I will not suffer in barzakh. Because that's like hadith of Amirul Mu'mineen. There's a person, most of the person who are stuck in barzakh are having pain in barzakh is because they haven't paid attention to the taharat and najasat. This taharat and najasat in regards to also, ladies and also for men as well. It's not just the way of utilization, how we use the restroom, unfortunately, but it's also for women who are carrying out, doing housework, paying attention to our namaz. For example, if my hands have become najis, blood, so on and so forth, right? So now, we discuss the things that have an adverse effect, that will have a painful effect in barzakh. Now at the same time as this world is connected to that world, there are certain things that will relieve and release people who are in barzakh. And one of them, the hadith of the Prophet says that the way mu'mineen, the marhumin, in barzakh is like a person who is drowning. The way he is expecting a hand be given and he be saved, that's how the marhumin wait for the sawab, for the good actions to be done on their behalf so that they get that. So one loud salawat for all of us. Because their hand is limited or cut from this world. They cannot do these things now. But we could do it on their behalf and we could send that to them. Few things that are mentioned in the traditions of Masumeen alayhimus salam in regards to that, what are those things that will come and assist and help those people who are in barzakh. One of them, it says that a good child, farzand saleh, and that is why it is very important that our children are given a proper Islamic tarbiyat so that they continue this light, that we receive the sawab in the hereafter. And it's not being selfish here, it is for them as well. It is a journey for even my child. Don't think that Islam is a very selfish religion. No, even for them. It says that a person, in regards to qabr, a farzan, a son who goes to the grave of his parents and recites Fatiha for them, the marhum will get the sawab, and also the person who is going to the grave, he will get the sawab. Another hadith in regards to that, if a child is in trouble, go to the grave of your mother and do dua and pray. your trouble will be released and relieved. Hadith of the Prophet. I have the reference. So it's not the case of being selfish here, that we want to give our children Islamic tarbiyat. No. It is for their betterment as well. So now, while discussing that, we pointed out to the visiting of graves as well here. We pointed out to sending of sawab for the marhumin here, that they will receive and that they will get. There's a very nice hadith. It says, Zuru means it's ziyarat. Mautakum, there's people who have dead. Fasallamu, give salams. Alayhim, upon them. فَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِيهِمْ إِبْرَةٌ. In it, there is an ibra. There is a lesson for you to be taken. Now, the question is, we ask, give salams. Ibrat is what? Ibrat is from the history. It's from the past. So, past is an ibrat, means that it's gone. It's over now, so I should learn now. So why did he say give salams? Salams is given to a person who is alive and high. So it has two things in it. One is that there is something that you are giving salams, that means they are high and alive, and in this there is ibrat for you, that you will be going in there as well and you will be alive as well. In another hadith it says, Man zara qabra abawai, a person who does the ziyarat of grave of the parents, or ahadihima, or one of the parents, ahadihima, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive and have special mercy upon the parents of our brothers and sisters who are present here, and if they are marhum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the parents of all of the brothers and sisters who are here, if they are alive, and give them long and healthy life. So here it says that Man zara qabara abawai aw ahadihima fi kulli jum'atin, on a Jum'ah, ghufira lahu wa kutiba inda Allahi barran. Allah will forgive. It says ghufira, Allah will forgive, and also write him kutiba lahu barran. Bar is good. It's, as we recite abrar, it comes from that same word bar. So this points out to that there is a connection with the grave in barzakh. Grave is very important. That is the place where one will be raised. That is the place where the spirit returns on every 15th of Sha'ban. There is some type of connection with that alam, with that spirit and that grave in that material world. Because our spirit and our soul is outside this universe, is outside the physical creation, but it is here. And it is connected to our body. And the disconnection and the entrance of our barzakh is a just disconnection from this physical realm. And we hang or we cling on to that spiritual world that we have developed for ourselves. The journey that we have completed to whatever level in terms of our spirit there. But as we are still connected with that grave, so from different angles, from different places, as the hadith says of the sixth Imam, when he was explaining the connection of the spirit to the body, he says it's like the sunlight. How the sunlight comes inside our house through a window, still that's a sunlight too. But the sun is not inside your chamber. It's not inside, it's outside. So it's here, but still it's here. So our spirit and soul is like that. It's connected to our body in that fashion. And as soon as we die, the disconnection takes place, we are still hanging on to that level that we have developed in terms of that mulaqat to take place, and we excel from there. The level and darajat is from there. So therefore, the resurrection, which is the qiyamah, as it is from the grave, which will look into further detail, which is also a step of mulaqat, is from that grave itself. The Quran says that there will be rain after everything will be destroyed. There will be a continuous rain, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have created everything from the rain. So whatsoever body parts is scattered and spread around, it will be gathered in the grave. And from there, it will be resurrected. How much does it really take for a body to rejuvenate? It's stem cell research. It's one cell. One cell of yours is to create another of yours. That's what science is going towards, right? So even if our body is completely decomposed, and the Chinese have proven, the doctors, that even if you burn the body, in that there is, the one cell is not destroyed in the spinal cord. There is one cell, you cannot destroy that no matter what. That cell is enough to create another Abbas, or another Jafar, or another, Muhammad. So this resurrection from the grave is that they will be raised, which we'll look into further detail later on. So now, grave is of great value and importance. And in the hadith points out to that we have to visit and we have to send. And if your loved ones is buried in some other place, you cannot go there. They say the very earth that you are standing, mark it, and with the intention of that you recite Fatiha for them. So why is that much of ahmiyat and importance? It's because there is some philosophical about it. There is some truth to it, and hidden truth, that we come to the realization of that. So the connection of barzakh to this world is inevitable. It's there. One cannot deny that. On the basis of the traditions that we have, on the basis of the anecdotes or the incidents that have taken place, to prove that barzakh is connected. So when it is connected, every good act that I do on their behalf, they get that. For example, it says a book or a Quran, that is left behind. A person writes a book, and through that people benefit. Well, that is